So today's topic is the beauty of math, love, and code. Someone asked me why particularly this title. And I would say there's some patterns here, right? If you look at the word math, love, and code, there are like 4 letters per word. But there's a lot of words that's also 4 letters. But why particularly these 3 words? So what comes to mind when you think about math? Any ideas? Numbers? Fractions? So if it's my dad, as an engineer, he'll be looking at this and saying, yes, this is what comes to mind when he thinks about math. We look at, there's Pascal's triangle, there's linear algebra, there's matrices, but for the most of us, including me, this is how I feel. And I just want to hold that feeling a little bit, because look at the eyes there. If we capture that and look more closely, this pattern, do you see this pattern in other places? Well, tornado is one. How I felt before I came on stage, just now I felt this. But if you ever get to visit the Venetian Museum, the double spiral staircase is now what you see instead. If you look more closely at the chamber nautilus shell, it's also displaying very similar shapes. But they all exhibit the same pattern, or a similar pattern. What is that pattern? That pattern is the sequence of Fibonacci. Has anyone heard of that sequence before? It's a beautiful sequence. And that sequence is really just this simple equation. But with simplicity is also complexity, and that's also beauty. A really quick little primer on Fibonacci sequence is really where you take the current number, add it to the previous number, and you keep on recurring that. So let's run through this. 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 3 is 5, 3 plus 5 is 8, and that fits into what we call golden ratio. And that's beautiful. There's a lot of golden ratios out there in the world. And if you linearize this, you can see what essentially is a golden ratio. You see how the squares fit perfectly and symmetrically? And that's beautiful. So, for all the craziness, it's actually beauty in the eyes. So, if there's beauty in the eyes, is it really math in the eyes or beauty in the eyes? Well, love is actually an equation too. So if you ever fall in love, just send your favorite boy or your favorite girl this equation and hopefully she gets it. But love is a complicated puzzle, right? People change, there's lots of emotions, different feelings. I still remember high school or university and now. So can one equation just solve all your love problems? Not really. Because if you can change your perspectives, there's actually lots of equations out there that can actually display or depict a love heart. For example, you have the polar equation on the top left, the second one up there in the middle, that's the algebraic equation, and then you have a parametric equation on the top right. So this can go on and on. There's so many ways you can depict your love or show your love. So love. When you talk about math and talk about love, how's this related? Well, I don't know if you ever played a game called Florence. It's a mobile game, beautifully designed, and there's a love story behind it. My mom is a tiger mom. She's very strict on me ever since growing up, and she wouldn't allow me to play. I can't eat dinner if I don't finish my homework. And from my perspective is that she really doesn't love me. Doesn't care. But now looking back, what does this all translate to? Changing a different perspective, she wants me to be disciplined. She wants me to finish what I started. She wants me to develop good habits. So if you just flip that and change that perspective a little bit, you get love. So next time if your mom calls you, she calls me every day. Sometimes I pick up, sometimes I don't. I might find it annoying, but it's also her way to show that she cares. But love has many forms. What about just daydreaming in a coffee shop, having an espresso moment, having a cup of coffee? What about doing something that you're passionate about? Art, cooking, music, anything. That's also a form of love. What about those dates? You guys remember high school dates or university dates or dates in general? What about remembering those and depicting them on paper for drawing? I think of love and I think of math as correlated. Why? It's also about how you look at each other, right? With your friends, with your family, with your loved ones. So if you look more closely, what is love between two people when they look at each other? There's definitely correlation and connection. There's definitely a bond that gets formed. And there's definitely something math related. Has anyone seen this before? Two dots, circles, and that's another math equation, another hard equation. Code. What about code? Anyone code here? Or write code? Ooh, some young coders. That's really cool. So when you talk about code, is this how you think about it? Yeah, same thing. But if you think about code, there's actually patterns, and that pattern makes me go crazy. But all of that craziness, there's a lot of love. And also in a mobile game called Monument Valley. Anyone play this one? Wow, that's really cool. Number 1 and number 2? So, how's this interrelated? In high school, it's confusing. There's a lot of different doors you have to take, a lot of choices you have to make. Where do you go? I think this game really shows that anywhere you go, the journey is what counts. And I'm part of a group that's called Axiom Academy, and we show kids how to basically think and design things from a mathematical perspective. So this is a totem inside Monument Valley, and this is our 6-year-old little coder.
可以介绍一下 Rookie 你在做的什么？
I don't know, I'm just doing a cube. It's just a cube tower.
That's pretty cool. Monument Valley right there. Good job, man. Good job.
So I said this in Chinese and Mandarin. I said, hey, Haruki, what are you doing, right? What are you building? And he said, well, I'm building a cube tower. He was playing Monument Valley, surfaced it up, and basically had creative thinking, math, and seeing things from a different perspective, you can create something beautiful. But Monument Valley, that totem, what's more to that? If you really dive deeper, can you see Monument Valley in this? Can you? What happens when it rotates from a different perspective? Can you see it again? What if you freeze it in 2D and outline it? That's the totem, right? And that's exactly, if you change your perspective from triangles, squares, lines, dots, you can create a whole new world. So, the beauty of math and code is really simple. Everything is connected. There's a lot of patterns. And essentially, if you really want to think about how we interact with people, it's actually taking a step back and seeing it from a different perspective. Thank you.